Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 32 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and celebrating myself. So, yay! I made it to day 32, and I know I already celebrated my creativity, but today I decided to celebrate my imagination because my imagination is just running wild with me today. And I think I mentioned my imagination when I did the creativity thing, but um, uh, but I think for me, my imagination is my other worlds that I go to, like make believe, like Mr. Rogers and make believe, and they would make believe something, and they would come up with a story or whatever it is. In Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, for anybody that grew up with that, I know it makes me old, but anyway, but I do. I have my own little worlds and characters and people in my head, and when I just don't want to face reality or I'm just really bored, I can run away in my mind, in my imagination. Sometimes I think that gets me a little bit of trouble because I avoid reality, but or I don't do things. I avoid things by daydreaming and imagining things. Of course, I also imagine things that kind of freak myself out, scare myself because I imagine something scary that's not really there. But I think we all do that. It's like you're in some area and you've watched like some spooky movie on TV and you're like, it's dark outside, so it's scary and it's creepy, and then you're like, whoa. I did that tonight and I was doing something and I accidentally touched my hair because it's getting long and I'm not used to it being there. And I bumped it and I was like, oh, like think spider, bug, or like, oh. I'm just like, oh, wait, it's just my hair. I'm good. It's just my but that's my imagination. It goes to something much bigger than it has to be. But it's also fun because, I can imagine like tonight picturing like what my house would be like if I ever have enough money to like build my own house, or, what my future could be. And I have that imagination, and I like having that because it gives me something to help me to set goals, give me something to look forward to at some point in my life. It also, the imagination that's created all the stories in my head that someday, if I ever get brave enough or bored enough or something, I will actually write all of these stories down. And then I will have these stories that I can put into books that I can sell, that other people can read, and they can be like, wow, check out Midge's imagination. This is great. Check out these stories. It'd be awesome. Again, my imagination thinks people will just love my stories and I will become some huge famous person, and people will watch these videos and be like, oh my gosh, this is where she started. This is where she came from. This was her crazy process. Which, may never happen at the rate I'm going because I haven't written in months now, which is sad. And I'm basically at the point where I have to keep rewriting stuff until I get it to the point where I can edit and publish it. And I haven't got to that point yet where I'm not comfortable with it, or I'm comfortable with it, but I send it to someone else and they come back with all this feedback and I'm like, oh, I thought I was done. and, and I don't like repeating the same thing again and again, yeah, I have so many other stories I would rather work on. So I should just work on the other stories until I'm ready to go back and rewrite things. But I think also being sick for a long time just kind of put a kibosh or a hold on things, and I just keep using that as an excuse. But it hasn't stopped me from daydreaming. I can always imagine something in my mind. I can always imagine being someplace else or doing something else or being someone else, which is fun for me and it's good for me, and it gives me ideas as to what I want to be or how I want to be. But I also need to remember that there is this thing called reality, that I actually live in reality, and there's this person that I actually am versus the person I imagine myself to be. And they don't always, meet. Sometimes my personalities clash. Well, personalities I imagine myself being, or that my characters are, clash with who I actually am. And some things that the characters in my head can do are things that I would never do, which is probably why they can do it in my head because I can imagine what it would be like knowing that I will never actually do that in real life, um, which is kind of fun too. It gives me different perspectives as well, because I can imagine what other people are going through or how they're dealing with things. Imagine what it would be like if I was in their shoes and their situation. Um, Also, sometimes I think it makes me a little too judgmental because I can't imagine why certain people do things the way they do things. And I was like, I have to remind myself it's not my place to judge. I don't know what their life story is. I don't know what made them the way that they are. And it's just random and weird to me, but it's normal and okay to them, I guess. So I'm like, all right. Um, anyway, that was just me today because I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to celebrate, and I just wanted to run away in my imagination today. So I spent most of my day just daydreaming, literally just daydreaming, which is fun for me. I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy getting caught up in that. It's also a way for me to express emotions. Like I feel like I'm more inclined or willing to cry or express emotion based on what my characters in my head are feeling. Um, my imaginary situation, I can get angry at people, and I can feel those emotions and I can express them in my mind with the the stories that I'm creating in my mind, where I am not always as willing to express those in in reality. It also means that I sometimes have conversations with people that have no idea I'm having conversations with them because I'm having it in my head. Either because I'm plotting or planning how I'm going to say things, or because I'm venting because I'm angry and frustrated at something they said or did, and I just don't have the courage to confront them, or it's past whatever the time is because my brain didn't process it in the moment. So they're long gone, but I'm just now processing and being angry. So I replay it in my head sometimes, which is not always a good thing. It's not always a good thing. Sometimes those things just need to be let go of and be done with, and not replayed. But my imagination can replay things, and it's very vivid sometimes, which can be a little scary and a little fun, just depending on which one what I'm imagining, I guess. So anyway, today, because I just wanted to be in my imagination and not in reality, I just imagined where I wanted to be in my life, and it was kind of fun. Not anywhere near where I am right now, but um, it was there. And of course, then I was doing projecting into what the future is going to be, and had to remind myself to come back to today because I have to deal with what I have today. And today I'm just really tired and I'm really sore and I really just want to be in bed asleep. And since I'm not, I'm going to pretend that I am or daydream about being someone else, somewhere else, doing something else, or even just sleeping. But sometimes my daydreamings will actually keep me awake, which is not always good when I'm trying to sleep because I get so caught up in my story in my head that I just don't want to let myself sleep because then it starts turning into some dream or some other thing. I'm like, no, wait, I want to finish my story in my head. I want to finish my conversation. I've done that many a time too, where I have not let myself sleep because I had to finish the story in my head. Uh, I get a little obsessed with my imagination sometimes and my stories, and I forget that they will be there later. But I don't always have the same conversations. I'm not always in the same mood, and depending on my mood, depends on what plays in my head. So, and it always comes out different, just like in real life, every conversation comes out different. It does that in my head too. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that is my random imagination and creating stories and things in my head, that I'm grateful I have because it's been an escape. It's helped me when I was bored out of my mind, when I was stuck at home, when I was growing up. It helps me get through the day. It helps me come up with ways to make things fun instead of boring in my life, or it just also can be used as a way to avoid my life, which is not always the best choice, but it is an option that I frequently use. Whether it's a healthy one or not, I'm not really sure. But I know there's lots of writers out there, and they have to have vivid imaginations to come up with the stories that they come up with. So it's probably a healthy thing. I just need to turn it into actual writing and turn it into actual books so that it actually turns into something productive and beneficial in my life instead of something that's going to avoid my life. So I can see how it has its positive side, and I can see how it can be taken to the extreme one way or the other. That's not necessarily good. But I am grateful for it because it has saved me from boredom many a time. It has allowed my mind to escape someplace else so I don't have to feel or deal with something that I'm not ready or able to deal with in the moment. And I'm very grateful for that too. So I'm grateful for my imagination, for my little make believe world. And um, I think that's what I have to celebrate today. I hope I'm not repeating something else. It didn't look like it. I think creativity was the only thing that I saw that I was repeating, but for some reason make believe is coming up, and I'm like, no. Oh, I think it's because I did a poem when I did my Red Shoemaker poem, and maybe I did make believe world and something like that because I make things up. Um, I hope that's where that's from, and I'm not repeating it. Celebrating, but 100 days of celebrating myself, and I just honestly, I don't even think I could sit down and make a list of 100 things about myself to celebrate, and yet I'm on day 32 and I found something to celebrate every day. But there's some things that have been similar, and there will probably be more things that will be similar because I feel like I'm grasping at straws just a little bit doing this, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I committed to 100 days of this. So we'll see what happens. In the next 68 days. So, anyway, if you like these videos or you're curious to see what else I can come up with to celebrate, I have an active imagination. I can imagine quite a few things. Hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And hope you find some fun ways to celebrate yourself and have a great day full of gratitude and maybe do some writing.